Hi everyone. So we are starting out the law optional subject, and in before going in the detailed discussion about the syllabus, and I just want to highlight that GS paper 2, that is the Indian polity, it its syllabus is completely overlapping with the syllabus of paper 1 of law optional, but this is not equal to the syllabus of GS paper 2, in the sense that you can confuse it with the syllabus given in law optional. So into the law optional paper, we are going to deal with the cases, the provisions in provisions, as well as the articles of Indian Constitution in detail, whereas in GS paper 2 you only have to have a bare reading and have a bare knowledge about the Indian polity. So this subject is very interesting in the sense that it would be very useful even after getting you into the selection, and when you will get selected, even after that into administration also, it will give you it will help you out. And when it comes to the myth side of the law optional, that it would be a very difficult subject, it would be a very technical, the syllabus of law optional is very lengthiest, all these things are completely rumor, completely it is not correct to say that it is very technical, it is very lengthy, whereas at Shubhra Ranjan IAS we have planned and we have devised the syllabus, the syllabus into a manner where you will see that this subject is getting out in a very different color, and it would be a very interesting engagement when you will go through the classes, because we have devised in considering with the students who don't have the legal background as well. So this is this subject, while picking up your optional subject, you can consider law as an optional, because it does not require whether you are a law graduate or not. So even for non-legal students, non-law background students, they can also pick this subject as their optional paper. So when it comes to scoring, whether it is a scoring or not, again I would say that this is very interesting subject when it comes to fetching good marks, because overall we have witnessed that it almostly faced around 280 plus, even scoring around 300. So this is also a scoring as compared to other subjects as well. So going further, we'll discuss out the syllabus of law optional in great detail, and it is this subject starts. This subject is divided into two papers, that is the paper 1 and paper 2. So here we have two faculties. Certain areas I will be covering up the certain areas of law optional subject in paper 1 and in paper 2 as well, and we have other faculties, other faculty who is Abhilash Shah. So he will be dealing with other sides of the syllabus. So I will be discussing the syllabus of those particular areas which I will be teaching. So in paper 1 you will have the Indian constitutional law. So this is constitutional law. Next one is administrative law, and the next is international law. So international law. So in constitutional law we'll go through the provisions and the articles articles, for example, for the fundamental right, the part and the provisions for DPSP, the provisions for the executive wing, the provisions for judiciary wing. So in detail, we'll try to discuss each and every article, as well as the cases which came across over the time period for those particular article and those particular provisions. So in admin law, this is also a very this is very, a small topic, where you will see certain things like, for example, separation of powers. So this is a philosophical side of Indian polity, where you will have you will get to know the philosophical side of Indian polity, and into that we'll see the separation of powers. For example, separation of powers, separation of power among different organs of Indian polity. For example, executive, legislative, and the judiciary. So what are the jurisdictional, and what are the territory, and what are the sites where they operate. So we'll discuss in detail the scope of separation of power. Even this you would have you would have come across a word, that is delegated legislation. Delegated legislation. So these things are given under administrative law. So we'll discuss in detail along with the case laws, prevailing case law, as well as the case law which are governing and which have been decided. So the judicial precedent, in the terms of judicial precedent as well. So everything will discuss out in detail while going through this syllabus of law optional. So it starts with the concept of Indian Constitution. So what is that Indian Constitution and the constitutionalism? So there you will get to know what are the jurisprudence, basically the jurisprudence of Indian Constitution. And recently you would have come across a word, that is the constitutional morality. Constitutional morality. So what is this? What is this means? What we call it? What we call it as the constitutional morality. So again, this is the area where we'll try to discuss out the features of Indian Constitution into great detail into this particular topic, that is the Constitution and the constitutionalism. So distinctive features of Indian Constitution. Again, so next it starts with the third part of Indian polity, the Indian Constitution, that is fundamental right. So the fundamental right, this is the area where UPSC very repeatedly, and this is very famous area for UPSC, where it asks questions relating to Article 14, Article 19, Article 21. And even recently, because the right to religion, the religion, that is the religious right, it is very much popular nowadays, even after the Sabrimala. So the UPSC, this Article 25, even UPSC tries, and it can ask questions relating to Article 25 as well. But this is the very prominent area of questions when UPSC it repeatedly tries to touch these articles. So we will discuss in detail the case law attached to these fundamental rights in detail. Next one is relationship between fundamental rights, DPSP, and fundamental duties. So this is the this is the area which where you will see that the provisions for DPSP, and so while invoking these provisions, when the parliament or the legislative assemblies, they try to enact any particular law, and that law, when it comes in conflict with fundamental rights, so again the particular law, when it come in conflict with fundamental right, it is declared as void or unconstitutional. So what are the area where they can interplay with each other, where they can survive, and they can they can uh, they can have their own role together in so we'll try to discuss the provisions of DPSP in comparison with the fundamental rights, and what are the areas where they can have coexistence. So even the role of fundamental rights and the role of fundamental duties. So what are the provisions and what are the duties when it comes to invoking and enforcing the fundamental rights needs to be taken care of. So we'll try to discuss in detail about this relationship of fundamental right with DPSP with fundamental duties. So moving further, we have next topic is executive wing. So this is the portion of executive which starts with president. So in this particular topic, we'll discuss the role of executive, and as it starts with the president, what are the constitutional position of Indian president, and what are the role of what are the jurisdiction, not jurisdiction, but to say that what are the parts of president, what are the functions of president, what are the role in precise the president of India plays even the role of council of ministers headed by prime minister. So how they aid the Indian president while executing the administrative and the executive works. Going further, the executive wing at a state level, that is the governor, again the council of minister headed by chief minister, who comes in aid while executing the administrative works, so comes in aid for the governor. So we'll discuss the governor and his role, his powers, So next, going further, we have the judicial wing. So this is the judicial wing. So as you know, that this starts with the Supreme Court, the role of Supreme Court, and into that we'll see the appointment of judges, the transfer of judges, and the powers. What are the powers of the Supreme Court, and the jurisdiction, and even the provisions relating to the suo motu provisions. So all these things we'll try to discuss and try to touch upon into this topic, whereas it also involves the role of high courts across the nation. So again, into that also we'll discuss the appointment of judges, the transfer of judges from one high court to another high court, and the jurisdiction of those high courts. So not only that, even to discuss further, we'll deal with the cases. What are the important cases? So as you know, there is one particular three judges case. So this is a set of three cases which is popularly termed as three judges case. Into that, and this even the collegium, as you know, that the collegium is a mechanism which is devised for the appointment of judges at a higher judiciary level. So this collegium method, it was the outcome of such cases, that is the three judges case. And into while dealing with that, we'll try to discuss what are whether the appointment of judges through the collegium method is viable, is tenable, and why this is into the controversy through all. And even the role of NJSC, as you all know that the Indian government enacted NJSC Act. So this is the National Judicial Appointment Commission Act, which was struck down by the Supreme Court of India for the reason that it was it was infringing upon the independence of Indian judiciary. So into that we will discuss in detail about the judicial wing of Indian Constitution or Indian polity. Going further, we have the next one is the relationship between the central, state and legislative bodies. So this is the relationship in terms of their powers, that is the executive powers, in terms of the jurisdiction, and in terms of roles. So in this topic we will discuss the distribution of legislative power between a union, that is parliament, and for the states, that is the state legislative assemblies, So what are the particular areas where a state assembly can make law? What are the particular area where the central government can make law? So these things are given over here, and we will try to discuss all these things in detail. Next, while discussing the local bodies, for example MCD, municipal corporations. After that, you would have come across a word, that is the trust, even the ports, and in rural areas there is municipal panchayat, so Jila Parishad. So what are these bodies? What are their functions? What are their roles? What are their powers? We'll discuss in detail. Next one is the administrative relationship among union, state and local bodies. So what are the administrative relations? So how the state machinery communicate with the central machineries, how what are the instructions given by the central ministries needed, and it must be followed by other machineries lying in state and these local bodies. So we will try to discuss the administrative distribution of power between these bodies and administrative relations. Again, the next one is the state property, common property and the community. So for example, the railway, the property and the area occupied by the Indian Railway in various other states, who commands those area, this particular area of railway that falls under the central jurisdiction that falls under the power of central government. So what are that can be termed as the common property. So what are these things? We'll try to discuss in detail. Next topic, it says the legislative powers and privileges. So what is that? Legislative powers and privileges. So this is for legislative assembly members and the parliamentarians, that is the member of parliaments and MLAs. So as you all know that while they represent a particular area, and while they represent us in to be precise, they must be given with certain immunities so that they can work without any pressure, without any interference. So into that they have been given certain immunities in the terms of legal immunities. Now what are the privileges they enjoy? So these things we'll try to discuss in detail about the legislative powers, legislative privileges, and the legal immunities which are accorded to MP and MLAs. Going further, we have the services. Services means all India services of union. So the all India services which are for the Indian government at the union level, and the services for the states. So for example, what are the recruitment for example, the IAS. So this is the all India service, and how they are appointed, what are the particular body that looks after their appointment and their services. These things we'll discuss in detail in this topic. Whereas for the states, you know that there is the state service commissions, that is the public service commission for states. So this is the body at a state level which looks after the appointment of public servants and their service conditions. And at the union level, we have UPSC, which looks after the appointment and services, training, etc. So these are the things which we'll discuss in detail while going through our syllabus. Next one is next topic is the election commission. So recently you would have come across the news that the Supreme Court of India, in a very landmark case, it delivered a judgment where it said, and where it held that the appointment of election commissioners will be done by a particular body that will constitute the three personals, that is the Prime Minister, Chief Justice of India, and the leader of opposition. So this is something it is similar to the appointment of CAG, we can say so, where this particular members, this particular body of 3 members, they sit together to decide about the appointment of a particular person. So now henceforth the appointment of election commissioners and CEC, that is the Chief Election Commissioner, it will be done by this particular body, which will constitute the Prime Minister of India, the Chief Justice of India, and the leader of opposition, or the person of the person of largest opposing party into the largest opposing party into parliament So this is a very landmark case. We'll discuss in detail what the Supreme Court has said and what it ruled out about the role of election commission in general and the appointment of election commissioners in particular. Next one is the emergency provisions. So into that again we'll go through the cases so far, and the cases where we'll see the time and again even Supreme Court and various high courts have reinforced the certain provisions and roles as certain provisions and guidelines while invoking the president's role in states. So these are the emergency provision we'll discuss in detail, and going further we have the amendment provisions. So the amendment of Indian Constitution. So what are the means and methods for amending the Indian Constitution as per the needs of evolving society. So this is given under 368, and by invoking this particular article we can amend the Indian Constitution, the provisions of Indian Constitution, and as per the needs of the Indian society, as per the needs of time. Next one is, so precisely the administrative law, admin law, which we saw earlier, that the paper 1 constitute it constitute of 3 laws, that is the Indian constitutional law, administrative law, and international law. So precisely the administrative law, it starts from the topic given under given at 12th number. So this is, for example, the principle of natural justice, PNJ, the concept of delegated legislation. So what is that? What is the concept of PNJ? We'll try to discuss in detail. Again, this is a philosophical jurisprudence for Indian judiciary while deciding a particular case. So PNJ, the principle of natural justice. Next one is the delegated legislation and its constitutionality, whether it is constitutionally tenable or not, we will try to discuss in detail. Next one is the separation of power and the constitutional governance. Again here the word constitutional morality will come, constitutional morality will come. So we will try to discuss the separation of powers between executive, judiciary and legislative assemblies. So what is that? Legislative assembly. So it can be said that for example, this is executive, this is judiciary, and this is parliament or state legislative assemblies. So the separation of power. This concept we'll try to discuss and in detail, because time and again, judiciary have been criticized for overreaching, and even for exceeding its limit, constitutional limit, exceeding its constitutional limit. Although this is only the criticism for its role, because there is two word, that is judicial overreach, judicial overreach. So while discussing, we'll see what the judicial overreach mean, and the judicial dominance, or the judicial exceeding its limit, its constitutional limit, and what are the limits of parliament to enact law, what are the limits of executive to function. So we'll discuss in detail. Next one is the concept of judicial review of administrative action. So into the administrative action, can we say that enactment of laws also falls under the administrative action? So far the judicial review of enactment of any legislative enactment, any parliamentary enactment, so it can be decided by the judicial review by by the Supreme Court or by the High Courts for its constitutional validity. But can the administrative action of executive be questioned by the Indian judiciary by invoking the judicial review? So we'll try to discuss these things in detail into this topic. Next one is the ombudsman, Lokayukt and Lokpal. As you all know, the very famous Anna Hazare movement for this Lokpal. So what is these bodies, and what are their roles, what are their functions, and when they were considered earlier while by the constitutional makers, and where is this concept lies, we'll try to find out, and we'll try to discuss in detail. So next one in paper 1 is the international law. As you all know that this area the Abhilash sir would be taking up, and he will be dealing in detail about this syllabus, and what are the provisions, and what are the laws in particular you have to go through it. Now again, before going further, I just want to highlight the things relating to books, and what are the particular things we'll be providing for this paper 1 subject. So into that we'll try to give you the handouts in detail, and we'll try to give you the notes. So even this notes will be sufficient for the things given under paper 1 for the Indian polity and the Indian constitutional law. Next one is for the reference. You can refer one book, that is that book named by, written by MP Jain. So this is MP Jain book for Indian polity, that is Indian constitutional law. So you can refer this book for your for the more for the more discussion, for taking out the more information from that. Although the notes which will provide to you will be sufficient for the UPSC mains. For the admin law, you can refer to IP Macy book. So again, these books are only relevant for the students who don't have legal background, because for them it would be maybe the notes given by us would not help them out. So in order to understand the basic things, and in order to read out in detail, apart from the notes, those students who don't have any law background, they can refer to these books, that is the MP Jain and the IP Messi for admin law, right? Going further, we'll see the portions and the areas which I will be teaching in paper 2. And paper 2, as it starts with the law of crimes, this is altogether a different subject, that is the IPC. Next subject is law of tort. So law of crime, law of tort, and this subject, the law of contracts and mercantile law, this subject will be taught by Avilash sir. Going further, this is one leftover subject given in paper 2, and that is very important, as this is very much it is relevant, it is very much relevant in current situation, when the technology is evolving, when science is evolving, when things are getting another shape in the terms of development into science and tech. So this subject, this is a compilation of few enactments, few acts, and although these acts are very small in nature, but their relevance in UPSC and in general is very large. So this is called as contemporary legal development. So here you will see the first one is public interest litigation, PIL, the concept of PIL. So we'll discuss what is the concept of PIL, what by this concept, by using this method, what we can do, and what we can who all are the persons who can get benefited, can get impacted by this legislative tool. So this is a kind of legislation which is used precisely for certain things to be done, which was meant for the executive or the legislative assemblies, that is the parliament, to enact law, but it was left over. So whatever the things which was not done by the executive, by the legislative assembly or the parliament, and in order to enforce a larger cause, or in order to cater to the larger need, this tool can be used in front of Indian judiciary, to be precise, in High Court or Supreme Court. This concept was given by one Justice P.N. Bhagwati, not he Bhagwati, although this was this was prevailing earlier also, but in another name. In India, to be precise, it was firstly used for the larger needs by Justice P.N. Bhagwati. So we'll discuss the role of PIL, the public interest litigation, in the context of Indian judiciary, in the context of Indian constitution. Now next one is the IPR, the intellectual property rights. So what is this? What is IPR? As you all know that with the advent of technology and with the evolving nature of Indian side, where the scientists and where the intellectuals, they are using time and again a new method and new solutions for certain problems which are coming up day by day. Let's take the example, recently we faced COVID. So during COVID, pharmaceutical agency or pharma side, pharmacies, all the pharmaceutical companies, they tried their best to come out with antidote and with the medicine for this COVID virus, COVID. So they try to find COVID vaccine, and very few of them succeeded in that. And so they while they came up with COVID vaccine, they tried even so they found out this COVID vaccine. Now by which law, by which enactment they can preserve these rights, preserve their rights, so that their innovation cannot be violated, cannot be cheated, cannot be taken by some other person, by some other agency. So for example, while this while taking out this vaccine, they would have researched well, they would have undergone many test and trial methods. So after all these efforts, they came out with the COVID vaccine. Now the particular company, for example X, this particular company, it put in every effort, every best effort to devise or to come out with this COVID vaccine. And after seeing the result that the COVID vaccine is working, it tried to withhold the rights, so that the salt used in that particular vaccine cannot be taken out, cannot be misused. So in order to secure these rights, in order to protect the rights, it can preserve and it can take royalty. So for that, it will invoke the rights of patent given under Patent Act. So similarly, for example, this was the one example relating to Patent Act. There can be various other examples when, for example, the example can be into copyright. So this is relating to cinematography. So whatever the movies or the web series or the things which are coming up, they can have the copyright over their work. So this is relating to any art, any customs, or any kind of innovation in general. They can have the copyright over that. So into the IPR, we'll discuss the Patent Act, the copyright, with GI Act, that is the geographical indication. Into that, as you all know, that for example, in geographical indication, you can take the example of for example Banarsi sari. So it has Banarsi sari, this is very GI indicated, popular. So for example, the rice, relating to even the Rasgulla of Orissa. So these are the things where which can be basmati rice, that is also basmati rice, that also comes under this act, and it is preserved under this act from getting violated. Next one is next one is information technology law. This is relating to cyber law. So we'll discuss the IT law in detail with evolving nature of the technology, the internet to be precise. For example, the 5G, it came into being, and now the role of this particular act comes, it comes out with greater responsibility. Next one is the competition law. In order to enforce and in order for a smooth business, it's a smooth business to undergo in India. This competition law comes into picture, where the dominant position of any particular company is curtailed or is contained. Next one is the alternative dispute resolution. This is again a jurisprudential thing. ADR, the concept of alternative dispute resolution. So this is for the time bound dispute resolution. This is the out of court or extra court jurisdictional mechanism, where the disputes are addressed by the individuals. So this is also given under CPC under section 86. So you can go through it and we'll deal with it in detail. So next one is the major statute concerning environmental law. Again, the role of MC Mehta, as you all know, he is a senior advocate and he is a very prominent environmental activist. So environmental activist. So his contribution, we'll go through it in detail. What are the environmental law? What is the role of NGT, that is the National Green Tribunal? Going further, we have next the concept of RTI. In order to have a transparent governance, we have this concept, that is RTI, Right to Information Act, which was enacted by the government in 2005. So by which we can take out the informations from any government bodies, any government department. So this in fact shows that the government is having a transparent governance. The last one and the very significant one, the significant topic is the trial by media. Again, this is a very popular topic when it comes to media trial. So into that you will see that the role of media and the role of media, again it comes out as a very important feature, as we know that the media is the fourth pillar of Indian democracy. Although relating to certain cases, the media trial, it starts out and it ends up with holding a particular accused as a convict. So again, there is a difference between convicted person and accused. So what is the role of media trial? Why it should be contained? Why it should be restrained? Because ultimately this trial by media, it infringes upon the right of a person of his or her right to fair trial, right to have a fair trial. So again, for example, the recent case, you can say the Sushant Singh Rajput case, you would have seen that a particular female actress, she was targeted and she was painted into a different color. So her right to have a fair trial was violated by media at time and again at that point of time. So this is all about the syllabus of paper 1 and paper 2, where I will be teaching out, and this is the very interesting side, and this is the very interesting subject where you can have first hand experience, even if you don't have the law background, and you can definitely look forward and you can definitely have law as an optional into UPSC. And we are soon going to launch the workshop where we'll discuss out in detail about the syllabus, about the previous year questions, about the books, about the things which you can use in reference for this subject. Again, for this, there is one more thing I just want to discuss, that for these things you don't need to have a particular book. You can simply follow the newspaper, and there is certain legal website, that is, for example, live law or bar and bench, or any web portal, any legal web portal, where you can find relevant news and relevant editorial, relevant article relating to these subjects. These are very small, and these are very, uh, very short enactment, and this is this is going to cater you a good marks in into paper 2 as well, because this is the subject, and this is the subject and topic which by reading out you can have an edge into essay writing as well. So this is all about this, and we're looking forward to interact with you all into our next session. Thank you so much.